Hello everyone, welcome back to the full/Sylvanus gameplay, the full match. I finally got good video of this because for the first time, everybody wasn't Bake Kujira on our team and making life very difficult to get a serious Guardian gameplay because, and this is something I'll tackle in a future video, Bake Kujira isn't really a true support. He's more along the lines of a bruiser Guardian, which is more of a solo gameplay designed Guardian rather than a true support. Alright. It just made it very difficult with everyone trying to be Guardians at the time. You can see even here with this gameplay that I still have Athena on my team. But we'll talk about that throughout the match. Now, really quick, before we actually get into the match in full, I'm eyeballing... The only thing I'm really eyeballing right now is two specific factors. One is they have no assassin, which means I don't have to watch my backline as much as I normally would, given that assassins are typically designed to pick off stray backliners. So that's one note of relief. The second point that I am observing here is Surtur. Now, this isn't widely known, but Surtur's first ability, where he sets his sword on fire and smacks you really hard and spawns an imp, that move, that extra damage is magic damage. Fire damage. Is magic damage. Obviously, it's fire, but it's magic damage, so whenever you see this type of team composition where you have 2 physical, 3 magic, at the end of the game you're going to want pretty balanced protections anyways, but because of Surtur, you want to lead with your magic protections if you're ever in doubt. Okay? So with that being said, let's get into the match itself. This might be too loud. It is too loud. I figured. Anyways, so I grabbed Warflag because we have a lot of great auto-attackers on the team. Tribdis, obviously. Nuwa's auto-attacks serve a survival function for her. Every 5th auto-attack she lands roots the target. Naja, of course, has crits. He's got good auto-attacks as well. Laid down the plants. But yeah, I am going for a more ally-boosting setup here, especially with the presence specifically of Athena, who can initiate. Bake Kujira is a bit less effective at initiating. You'll see this. I'll point this out as well because this is what we're talking about, but I've laid down my plants. I'm going for a more team-oriented aura build. I have Warflag. Naja startles me by going for Scylla here, which is quite the bold move, right? I throw out the healing there. I do wind up getting her, I believe. I believe she dies to this. No, she does not. But it was worth a shot, right? Either way, she has to be careful. We go for Bake Kujira, right? He's leaving, right? He turns back around, he comes back in. Athena's taking the brunt of a lot of this. I am running low on mana, but I'm in pretty good health overall, partially because of my heal. Right, here comes Surtur. I root him. And, you know, my allies are on top of that. Charybdis and Nuwa were doing damage. I'm trying to pull somebody. I'm looking for somebody low on health here. Bake Kujira, even though he's a Guardian, makes for a good candidate at this point because, of course, he hasn't built up his protections yet. Naja gets caught out. I'm not really sure how he dies because he's, of course, fairly far away. You can see him back here. He's right there. Right, he's right in there, and he just gets killed in that whole mess. Of course, I don't have the mana to really do that much at this point because I've used a lot of it. At this point, I blink in to try to root the Bake Kujira because if I'd been able to succeed at that, he probably would have died, but I missed. Of course, Nuwa dies. I have to leave because I'm low on health and mana. That's not going to happen. And I obviously can't save Athena. Now, I don't back. You might be wondering why. Well, I still have about half my health left, and no one's here to defend this wave. And I have the plant with which to restore my MP. You'll also see me pick up these seeds here to also restore my MP. And as a Guardian, it's going to take me a little while longer to actually, you know, level up and get where I need to be. Right? So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to defend this because no one's shown up yet. They're all leaning towards right lane anyways. Bake Kujira makes moves to try to get me there. He actually pursues that a little bit. He goes for the back line. But if I hadn't immediately gone backwards towards the tower, he probably would have kept on going with that. I just support Tribdis a little bit here. This is mostly me just trying to get some assists here. You know, get some stacks on my Warflag, as you can see. Kujira, for some reason, dives. I'm not really sure what he was expecting, and this is exactly the problem that I have with Kujira as an initiator. You can actually see where he's used his ult. This is his ult. He hits me, he pushes me in, and then he's got nothing. He does have access to an ability that slows the attack and move speed of the target, which isn't bad, but it's not going to lock down people the same way, say, Athena's taunt is going to, right? And in some ways, Kujira's initiation is counterproductive because it pushes enemies away. You have to play Kujira a lot like Kuzenbo, right? Which is not something you want on your team as a Sylvanus player. You want somebody like Athena who's going to be able to actually properly initiate without much influence from you. Even though I do have the Athena, by the way, please note that I still upgraded my Blink for emergency purposes. If I need to take over initiation from Athena, I want to be able to do that, right? Because I'm functionally the backup initiator should Athena either not be there, or should she be too low on health to initiate and we still need the initiation, etc. Right, so I still have the Blink for that reason. I still upgraded the Blink early on for that reason, despite having Athena. Right, so I'm back over here defending left lane. Athena ults me, which is a really great move here. I ult partially to make sure that they stay locked in so Athena can hit them. I pull in Kujira, and we're just, trying to defend. Everyone comes in, and we're really setting up here. Kujira is taken out, which is great. And I'm just trying to make sure that the backline doesn't get targeted. We see Scylla coming in on the right there, which makes me a little nervous. Surtur ults. He goes for the Naja. I pull in the Surtur. Now, I pull in the Surtur for a really interesting reason. You can actually see this, and the Nuwa picks up on this. He's here, and I pull him in here, despite the fact that Naja was passing me by, because Nuwa was right there. She actually takes him down with the minions, which is kind of what I was expecting. I died to the Scylla ult, but that's fine. Nuwa also died to, I believe, Scylla. But, we take the Surtur, we kill, we saved the Naja, even though it took two of us. We've balanced out things, right? You can actually see we are a little ahead on gold at this particular point in time. When I said that we were, they're roughly matching us in gold. It's you can see where we pull ahead, they pull ahead. We're approximately equal, right? But that's what the team needed. We had a really rough start at the beginning there, so us being able to turn that around and actually gain enough momentum to balance that out is a really great thing for the team. Also, by the way, really quick note, this is actually a great opportunity to talk about this because I don't often. Notice that the Juggernaut here is going to disengage from the Scylla because this circle here, I use that term loosely, is not actually a circle, okay? And I'm going to move the camera here. See, she moves out of this circle here because you can see this border here is where the Juggernaut will disengage. This is not a true circle, and I've been moving my camera around right here because I realized at that moment that this is a great opportunity to talk about that because not a whole lot of people know that. A lot of people assume it's a perfect circle. It is not a perfect circle. Okay, so you have to be very careful when attacking the Juggernaut from that left side or that right side, the back area there, because it's not actually a perfect circle, right? So let's go back slightly because I want to talk about my thought process here. So we take the Juggernaut, which surprises me because we really should have been contested on that. They were all up except Kujira, right? So I'm just weakening down the minion wave here. I throw my root at Scylla just for kicks, basically. I should have saved it, to be honest, but I see this fight going on over here with Surtur. Now, I ult Surtur specifically to lock him in and give Naja more time, which he takes advantage of. He absolutely picks that up, right? Athena goes in on the Uller. Uller beads. That's unfortunate because I think if he hadn't beads, we would have been able to do more to him, right? Athena dives in. I blink in. I use my heal. Whether or not this kills him, I intend on keeping him in the area, right? I'm just tanking this. Athena takes him out, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, Charybdis she goes too deep in on the left for that tower. And then I make a really bad gamble. Hold on. Alright, so I know that these people are over here, and they're probably heading right. Right? So I back off of the tower, but before I leave, I want to ward. Because I'm insane. And I make this gamble, and there's Scylla. Alright, and then I die from this. There's just no way I get out of here. Right? The decision by itself isn't a problem. It was my decision in face of the knowledge that I had. I knew that Kujira and Scylla were in left. I knew probably they were coming to right. I really shouldn't have taken that gamble, right? I was basically gambling. My gamble there, if you're confused as to why I'm referring to that as a gamble, my gamble was, it was a 50-50 shot that they were either going to come my way or go back and heal, because I didn't have any status on their health, right? A low health enemies would go back, medium to high health enemies would come over and get me. I didn't know which it was, so from my perspective, it was 50-50, and I guessed wrong, alright? And I didn't need to take that gamble either. That was a completely unnecessary gamble. I died for nothing. It was a really bad decision on my part. Anyways, so Naja goes in, and the only reason he goes in is because he has his ult, right? So I'm just trying to pick things up for him, make sure that it's not wasted. I do wind up cleaning up the Bakekujira, which separates them off from Surtur, and this is something that the enemy team does very often. We're actually going to highlight this because they do this a lot. Right, so Naja goes in, he ults Bakekujira. Right, I'm coming in, and Surtur is right here, and then Surtur goes back towards the back line, like he's an assassin, but he's not building like one. And the enemy team is not supporting him. He's by himself back here, right? And he gets killed. This is something that happens a lot with the enemy team. The enemy team's front line, very often, one of their front line goes to attack our back line without having the damage to be able to pull that off. And then the other front line is, defending their back line. And a lot of the times, their team lets either Athena or myself or both cut them off. So we have this basically one individual surrounded by all of our damage dealers, unable to kill any of them because they aren't building full damage. Bakekujira and Surtur are not building full damage here, right? So they're not able to bring the damage they need to take someone with them. And they don't have the protections necessarily to survive long enough for their team to catch up because their team is letting Athena and I separate them. Right, so they're diving really hard for Athena, which is by itself a silly choice, because Athena is frontline, she's supporting, like I am. She's not going to be worth that effort a lot of the time, right? She isn't hitting that hard where that should be a priority. Okay, they make this mistake. This is another mistake they make pretty frequently throughout, right? Is that their frontline keeps prioritizing our frontline, Athena and I. And the only times that Athena and I focus their frontline is when they're just the best option, right? They were chasing that Athena for far longer than they needed to do. I can actually tell you specifically when they... Let's go back really quick, because this is something that a lot of people have trouble with. Let's go back really quick here. All right, so far this is fine. Actually, we'll go back here. So right at this point, our allies that have died have been dead for a good time. You can see that they've all come back. The enemy team can see that they've all come back. There's no cooldown timers at the top there. The enemy team knows that all of our allies are back. And Athena is still at half health here, okay? Furthermore, the three people trying to kill Athena, actually it's two people. No, it's three people. It's Scylla, Janus, and Bakekujira. Because here's Surtur, here's Ullr. I'm not even sure Scylla is there. Yeah, no, it's just the two. It is just the Janus and the Bakekujira. Here's Ullr finally. There's Scylla, excuse me. There's his ult. There's Surtur's ult. And this is where it gets too far. Our allies have been alive for a while. They know they've been alive for a while. And it's unreasonable from an enemy standpoint to expect that our allies wouldn't be coming in at roughly this time. Okay? Once Athena got under tower, even though she was at a quarter health at that point, it wasn't really worth the investment. Because now you can see Bakekujira has almost no mana and he's got half his health. He's not going to be able to defend anyone. Right? You can see where the Janus dies to a combination of my healing and Charybdis' damage, and it's just, absolutely fantastic. I lock down Bakekujira, I ult him because I know that I can clinch that kill for somebody, Charybdis does, and then we leave. So, after winning our previous fight, because they overextended, they set us up for a basically free win for a second fight. We took Janus and Bakekujira and capitalized by taking their right tower for absolutely nothing because of how hard they pressed for Athena there. If they had backed off of the Athena even 30 seconds earlier, that would have gone not nearly as bad. They might not have even... No one would even probably have died. It would have been a status quo. They would have left. We wouldn't have taken the right tower. We wouldn't have gotten 2 kills. They wouldn't have killed anyone either, obviously. But it was just an excessively heavy pursuit. They overcommitted very badly on that Athena. Okay? and I have some kind of weird mouse issue there. But it's at this point that I realize that we're probably going to win this, because their front line, it's specifically the front line. Bake Kujira and the Surtur are way more aggressive than the rest of their team is. This is a communication failure and a decision-making thing. This isn't a skill issue. This is communication and decisions. Surtur dives, and Scylla is back there, so is Ullr, but I'm blocking the bulk of that. Scylla didn't use her crush for whatever reason, which is the only thing there that I couldn't block, along with Ullr's rain of arrows. And I'm just trying to stall out as much as possible. I was able to stall out a decent amount of time. The wave still got into a little bit, but I am able to get back out, right? We did save Nuwa, because Surtur, again, just as I mentioned before, Surtur went in alone, and the rest of the team, even though my back was turned, the rest of the team basically let me cut them off, and they did not enter the tower, even though Surtur was already tanking it, okay? These are the two major issues that consistently come up on their team, that even though they put up a great late-game defense, you've probably seen the length of this video, they put up a great late-game defense when they stopped doing this, and they stopped doing this because when they switched to the defensive, they stopped making a lot of these mistakes, because these are aggressive mistakes. These are mistakes you make on the attack. These are not defensive mistakes, right? Right now, they're pressing the attack, and this is a good press, because there was 3 of us in left lane, and there was 4 or 5 of them at the time. I think there was just the 4. I think Scylla was in right lane. But, you know, it's a decent initiation by, I don't know if it was by Surtur or Bake Kujira, but they had the numbers, and then you can actually see the exact same thing happen again here, right? So, great initiation. They absolutely should be pressing this. I come in, here's Naja. They should be, you know, backing off a little bit, because now we outnumber them. Right, and Surtur wants to, and Bake Kujira, you can see he just goes back. You can see him on the left. He just goes to the left. He just goes into the middle of the team, but he doesn't have the damage to do that. Surtur does the exact same thing. He's about to dive in there. He's trying to kill Charybdis. He's diving deep. All right, so, you know, Naja has Scylla, and I just want to make sure that no one dies to Surtur, because I know that the enemy team isn't chasing, and you can see the rest of the enemy team, Ullr and Janus, they left. They completely bailed, because they were cut off, and they just... Could they have committed to that? Sure, they could have. Would they have succeeded? At that point, probably not, because they were by themselves at that point. And you can even see right here, we dive the tower, and we take Janus, right? They actually overstayed. They should have just gone back to Fountain, right? Because we just got a free Janus there. We're not going to take the tower, because Bake Kujira respawned and arrived, obviously. And for a tier 2 tower, this early in the game, we're only 11 minutes into the game, we weren't likely to have the penetration to take that anyways, so why they stayed under tower when they didn't need to be there to protect it, I'm not sure. Maybe they were worried that we would take it, but, I mean, half of us, you could even see where, to some extent, half of us, really quick, actually go back twice more. You can see where it's just the 3 of us, right? Here's Nuwa, here's Naja, sure. But we take out this Juggernaut, right? Nuwa backs up. They know Nuwa is backing up because they can see her right here, right? Naja goes in, and then we take them out right here, right? But they know Bake Kujira is coming up. And Bake Kujira, while I did point out some issues I have with Bake Kujira as an initiator, on the defense he's fantastic because he is able to reduce attack speed. So there was no way we were going to take this tower. This is, I suspect, more of an unfamiliarity with Bake Kujira and more of a concern about the durability of towers. But both Ullr and the Janus overstayed under that tower. And that's why Janus died. He really didn't need to be there. Ullr didn't either. Ullr almost died as well to Naja. But neither of them needed to be there, right? So I'm just at this point trying to stall out for Charybdis, basically, to, you know, handle these guys, because she's a hunter. The two guardians are going in, right? Takes out Bake Kujira, who again overcommits, because... Again, just like, it's kind of like a Sobek where he, you know, he did his dash in, he doesn't have any way of getting out. He dies, right? So I'm going back because I don't have that much mana at this point in time, right? I have Midgardian Mail to help me with Bake Kujira, to help me with Ullr, right? Just to help not die to them. And now I'm working on, very specifically, Talisman of Energy. Again, like I said before, a lot of great auto attackers on the team. I'm going to be near them more often than not, so I'd like to enhance that. Now, my team is making a mistake here. They're too far up. We are ahead, but we're not ahead by that much. It's only by 6,000, and there's still the tier 2 tower there. They're all fresh up. I'm the only one coming up fresh, right? You can see where they had to back off, and Athena's in trouble, right? Because she was solo tanking pretty much all the enemy damage there. So I'm just trying to tank and get people out of here at this point, because they committed way too hard on that attack. Nuwa dies, right? And I'm just trying to stall out. Right now I'm trying to stall out so that way Athena can get out, and Charybdis might be able to kill Janus, which she does. I don't know why Janus was there. Janus shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been that far up without some kind of support there. Bake Kujiro chases me. Bake Kujiro is wasting his time. Okay? He can't kill me. Not with Midgardian. We start harassing him, right? Naja's coming in. I'm hoping Naja has... I don't know at this point whether or not Naja has the penetration. Turns out he kind of does. And I'm, looking to go back in a little bit here. I use my ult. I use my root. I use my heal. And we actually... Well, Athena, I think, winds up killing Uller, or no? No, I don't think she does. But he comes really close to dying. Naja, of course. Now, this is an issue with Naja here. This isn't like a long-term issue. This is a mistake he makes. I ult in. I use my root. He uses his sash, and he ults. He whiffs his ult, unfortunately, but he then goes for the Scylla. He really should not have. He should have been trying to get out of there right away, because we were outnumbered there. Right? Yes, I just used my ult, and once he whiffed his ult, he should have been trying to leave, because he needed to hit the ult to even out that fight, right? Now, Nuwa does come in, she does take care of Janus, which is absolutely fantastic, and the Bake Kujira tries to kill me. Now, I know he can't. Again, as I said before, I know he can't kill me, and I think he doesn't either know or he's forgotten that Nuwa's minions, when they do that dash and they hit you, they're reducing your magic protections. So the explosion, if she times it correctly, is going to slap. And that's exactly what happens there. He just gets, even though he's got the protections, sure, he gets decimated, which I kind of figured was going to happen, because like I have said for a third time now, and this is really important for people who are concerned about Bake Kujira, I knew he couldn't kill me. I had been Guardian, I had plenty of magic protections to that point, because it was, again, the first type of protection I built there. I was not at all concerned that he was going to kill me, right? So, we do have that, again, overstaying, and we see Surtur in right lane by himself. I assume his allies are going to come help out, so I'm just going to default assume that. He instead ults out, which is a waste of his ult, because he was too far up. He didn't need to be there. There was no reason for him to be there. And now we have Athena in deep here. Naja isn't here. She shouldn't have gone that deep without Naja being there, because it was a pretty safe assumption the rest of the enemy team was going to show up, right? So I'm just trying to get my teammates out, right? Because now we don't have Athena. I die, right? Now, fortunately, I did do a decent job of stalling out the enemy. It looks like Nuwa is still going to die, but the rest of them could get out if they really wanted to. Naja capitalizes, Charybdis capitalizes, and Nuwa does get out. They make a great... They really turn that around. I'm not sure how they managed that. Well, I can... It has a lot to do with the fact that Bake Kujira had backed up, right? So if you actually look here... Right, so we have, me getting slapped. I die. I throw out one last heal before I die. Bake Kujira is really low because Charybdis was focusing on him the whole time. Bake Kujira backs up, and then the Scylla's right here. You can see the Scylla gets wiped out. Right? Now, the Scylla survives. It was the Uller I was looking at. The Uller gets wiped out. He gets nailed down, and so does the Janus, trying to kill Nuwa. And Bake Kujira, who did not fully return to base, dies. And they're going to be able to very likely pick him off. There he goes, right? There was not much hope of him escaping, because Surtur does not have an escape. And now they're eyeballing the Phoenix. And, you can see where Charybdis is clearly building penetration and attack speed, as she should, because that's how she plays best. And Nuwa's back here working on the Juggernaut. I go left for some bizarre reason. I should have gone right, so I heal her on the way. Throw down a root to help her take that a little bit faster. And then I'm trying to join my allies in the middle, because they were busy successfully stealing the enemy Juggernaut, which is, great. But now they're in trouble, right? They're outnumbered. The enemy's coming in fresh. They're not fresh. And I, move to the left. I want to see if I can do something with the Juggernaut here. Maybe I can apply some pressure, right? That's what I'm thinking here. And then I get jumped by Uller, which is a concern, because out of everyone here on the enemy team, Uller is probably the most threatening to me. He's the hunter, so he's most likely has built penetration. He hits pretty hard, obviously. I'm trying to save Nuwa now, because she came in to save me. I'm not sure why she came to save me. Don't save your Guardians if they're that far up. I frankly shouldn't have been that far up in the first place for the exact same reason as Athena needed to get out of there, right? The enemy team was fresh. They were just coming back. I knew they were just coming back. I didn't need to be there. So me being that far up was a mistake on my part. Did I have good intentions? Absolutely. Could it have worked if the enemy was asleep? Absolutely. Was the enemy asleep? No, and most aren't, right? My idea of helping the Juggernaut take left tower was only going to work if the enemy was not paying attention. And they clearly are. They clearly have been, at least to defense, right? But, fortunately, in the long run, it does work out, mostly because, again, we are talking about various things. See, the thing is, this fight here is actually worth a little bit of an explanation. So you have Athena pressing the Titan here with the Juggernaut, right? So this is making, you know, the Uller and the Scylla obviously have to ward that off, right? And Uller stays around. So we have the two people, Naja and Charybdis over here, taking out the enemy Guardians, and then Athena comes in, seals the deal. We have numbers now. We have the numbers, and that's basically what happens. You know, Uller and Scylla were busy enough in right lane warding off Athena, and then Athena backs up and then directly ults right to them. Right? It was a really great play on the Athena's part. That is actually absolutely fantastic, distracting the enemy damage away from the fight in left, which is the enemy tanks versus our damage. Hugely in favor of our damage. It was and just ulting right to them right afterwards. Absolutely great play by the Athena. The Athena is very good. Okay. Unfortunately, Naja isn't able to get out because, of course, he doesn't have an escape. Nuwa's going in, so I'm having heart palpitations. She turns around to leave. I'm just trying to ward off Surtur here. She follows me in for some reason. And I am now trying to get her out, right? Now, I just think the Nuwa's a good Samaritan here, because she keeps trying to save me, and she really shouldn't be. This is the second time she's done that, but she actually learned from last time and went back. But now we have Athena, we have the numbers now, we have a 3-on-3. Now I'm a little nervous. You can see I path very specifically here, really quick, right? So we have the numbers now, we're 3-3, and then you'll see me deviate to the right a little bit. I'm trying to peek around this corner, right? I'm trying to make sure no one's coming out of that jungle to come in and attack my allies awry, right? So we're chasing, and it is occurring to me at this point that maybe we shouldn't be chasing this hard. This seems like a problem, right? We're going pretty deep in there, and I haven't seen the other two, namely, I think, Scylla or Janus. I can't remember which mage we were just chasing there. Who was that? Scylla. We were, chasing Scylla. I don't know where Janus is, I don't know where Uller is, so I go over here to work on the Juggernaut. Naja and Charybdis take the Apophis. I'm just holding the Juggernaut. I'm just trying to basically keep an eye on it. Make sure the enemy team doesn't go for it. I grab it. Well, Charybdis grabs it. I'm just holding it. And now we're all basically confused. We should be attacking right lane, and Naja goes in for an assassination attempt. I don't know why Charybdis and I are following him so closely behind when he's pathing specifically for assassinating people. I do blink in an ult. It's a decent ult. I get Uller and Janus, which is going to make them a little bit nervous because the damage on that ult is respectable to squish your targets. And then you can see the enemy almost making the same mistake. You could see the Surtur almost doing the same thing, and in fact the Athena does separate everyone else, and here's Baka Kujira basically by himself. Scylla does try to help, but you could see the same mistake almost being made to the same extent, right? And to some extent it still was made. The same mistake was made by the enemy team. They just picked up that it was a mistake a little bit earlier, right? So we retake the Phoenix. Athena dives in. Again, Surtur recognizes that he is now alone. He just backs out of that situation. Again, as he should. And I stay a little too long. You can see where everyone else had left, and I was watching the Juggernaut a little bit too long. I'm going to die here. We have, again, Nuwa and Athena. Nuwa, the Good Samaritan, trying to save me again. She, again, should not be. And I bite the dust, just basically through waiting too long. Nuwa does take the Uller, which at least makes it a good trade, because I'm not worth an Uller. Alright, I'm just a tank. Honestly. Uller is damaged, they need him. Right, they take Baka Kujira, so now it's a 2-for-1. So it worked out, but I want you to understand that it working out has nothing to do with me. Okay? I should not have been there as long as I was. I should not have stayed there and stared at the Juggernauts for that long. Okay, that was a mistake on my part. My allies were good enough to capitalize on that mistake I made, because the enemy team did chase me down, But I shouldn't have been there that long in the first place. I should have left with everyone else, and I did not. Right, so they absolutely slapped down the Janus. Naja is just trying to take that Phoenix and left. And now that there's only Scylla left, you know, they're pressing for that. Naja unfortunately dies to the Phoenix because he somehow was pulling aggro. You can see there were minions there, but he was pulling aggro for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure why he was pulling aggro. It was probably when he killed the Janus, he just never dropped aggro to the minions, if I had to take a guess. But he does succeed in getting the Phoenix, and I'm just trying to get the Athena out of there, right? Because the only person who should be saving other, Guardians is other Guardians. So then Athena ults me, which completely defeats the point that I was trying to do. So I'm at this point like, alright, can we just distract them here? Because what I really want to have happen is for our allies to come back. So I'm just trying to buy time at this point, because Athena, who I originally was trying to save, is now just in here again. So I'm just buying time. That's all I want. So Nuala comes up, Naja comes up, and I'm just trying to leave, but I know I'm not going to. Sylvanus has no way of escape, so I knew I was doomed, but I lasted almost as long as I wanted to. I joked to the Athena that I was trying to save her life, and then she ults to me, because I found that deeply amusing. But I did last long enough. They didn't get to do anything with the defense, the successful defense that they pulled. I got some time for the Juggernaut. Was it ideal? No. Did I need to? Probably not. The only thing I can tell you with confidence that I did prevent them from taking was Apophis. They could have been waiting there for Apophis to take Apophis. But other than that, and that's not a huge deal, but it is something that I can say with confidence my stalling did achieve. I just don't think it was as necessary. Don't think that was a great heroic moment. That was me making the best of a weird, bad decision. Right now I'm trying to come in here and save Nuwa. I ult specifically for that purpose, which does save her. And then I'm just trying to get Surtur as low as possible, because Naja is right there, and I don't want Surtur killing Naja. That's my main concern right now. And if Surtur is low enough to be killed by Naja, that's kind of the hope here, is what I'm shooting for. Naja uses his ring, he's healed himself a little bit there, and he's just waiting for me to set up. I get the grab, he gets the sash, I root him, and he absolutely picks that up. Absolutely fantastic gameplay by the Naja. I overcommit here, alright? Now the Scylla blinks on the Naja. There's actually a really specific reason I commit here, alright? So we have the Janus, right? I'd like to kill the Janus, and Scylla blinks and kills Naja. Now, the reason why that worked so well is because, and the reason why I pressed in the first place is because they don't have assassins. I was not expecting someone to come flying out of the jungle to whack Naja so quickly. But Scylla blinking like that functionally operates the same way, right? She basically made an assassin play as a mage, which sometimes Scyllas can do. And that's why I pressed, because I wasn't expecting that kind of move from a Scylla. And she pulled it off wonderfully. It was a really great play by the Scylla, actually. But that's why I pressed in there. I figured that because I could see everyone but Scylla, I didn't expect Scylla to blink. If you go back and listen to it, you can hear the blink. I wasn't expecting that. That was an oversight on my part. I should have made sure that no one on their team had blink. So that caught me very much by surprise. If I had known that the Scylla had blink, I probably would not have pressed that hard, because I am aware that Scyllas can pull that kind of stunt off. I've seen it before. I've done it myself before. Right? But this is another situation here, right, where you can see, here's our team. I'm actually pointing this out specifically. Here's Bake Kujira, right? For no reason, just in right. There's Janus, right? Janus leaves because he's not even remotely interested in risking his life for Bake Kujira, which, frankly, given how many enemies, from Janus' perspective, given how many enemies are over there, is reasonable. Janus made the right choice there in abandoning Bake Kujira. He wasn't going to do anything to save him, right? Now, we make a bit of a mistake here, and we split up, right? Naja takes care of the Juggernaut real quick. I shouldn't have gone left with him. I went left with him because I was concerned someone was going to pop out of that Juggernaut and attack him. I'm a little paranoid now because of the Scylla blink. I'm feeling a bit paranoid as a support. Our allies back off in right lane, which is fine, and Naja and I are pressing too far up and left, and you can see me being nervous because I'm kind of circling around back here. I'm basically just supervising the Naja at this point because I don't actually want to commit. Alright, this is the Naja looking to commit. He grabs the Janus, and he does do a great job assassinating the Janus, but I'm feeling a little paranoid. Absolutely. Now Scylla ruins my blink. Naja whiffs his blink ult, unfortunately. But at this point, all I'm really looking for personally is the Phoenix, right? Take out the Phoenix, get more fire minions here, maintain pressure, right? Lovely time. Grab the Surtur. I'm trying to do the separation thing. I'm hoping they fall for it, but if I give them the opportunity, they kind of almost do, but not really. The Baka Kujira overstayed, but he still makes it out. The Surtur, I had to pull in twice because he wasn't really falling for it. But it works-ish. This is still an advantageous situation for our team until the Janus spawns, which is about to. They really need to leave at this point, and they do. You can see them retreating, which is what they should be doing at this point because, again, the enemy team is about to come back pretty fresh, and we are not fresh. I'm dead. It's a 4v4, but Nuwa's half dead, basically. So it's 3.5 versus 4. Now, Athena is over here. I'm not sure what Athena is doing here. I have no idea why she is here. They might be thinking that if she dives the Phoenix, that Tribdis can take that really quick. I don't know if that's, really going to happen. The rest of the team does come in, right? But there was really no reason for just Tribdis and Athena to be there other than an attempt at the Phoenix. They do take the Uller, but you can see where it's kind of stalled out because on the defense, the big concerns here are going to be the Baka Kujira. I accidentally interrupt the Athena ult. She was not trying to ult me, she was trying to ult someone up there, probably Nuwa because Nuwa was low and frankly dies. That was a mistake on my part. It had not even occurred to me to watch out for that, so that's all on me. And then, of course, I want to attack this because we do have Tribdis. We can take this. I've seen what Tribdis does to Phoenixes, and it's gross, and I love it. Now, Athena dives this. I'm not sure why. We're about to be in trouble for the same reasons I was talking about earlier. That was a good block by the Surtur, but I'm not sure it was intentional. Where the enemy team is, coming in fresh, and we're very not fresh, and this is really a concern, right? So we do have that. Uller, of course, kills Naja, mostly because, again, he's coming out hot and ready, just like Little Caesar's Pizza theoretically is, and we were absolutely neither hot nor ready at that point, right? So we all get wiped out for exactly the same problem as before, but unfortunately, because I am not operating as the initiator, that was the Athena's decision, and I'm just following through, right? But it was not going to work out. That was not the moment to finish, and I know that's why she went in there. She wanted to finish the match there and then. She thought we could do it. We didn't have what we needed for that. We weren't healthy enough. It comes down to basically not having the health to do so. I know Sylvanus heals, but healing is not what it used to be, right? The main reason to heal people is actually to boost their protections. They're going for the Juggernaut. Charybdis and Nuwa are in the area as well. They get it because there's not really a big interrupt attempt. Janus does die to Nuwa's ult, and we do have Baka Kujira alone again. Which, again, he shouldn't be, but it's not like I haven't been alone by my, a couple of times this match, so. The Athena goes in on the Uller. Surtur teleports to the Juggernaut. Now, at this particular point in time, I'm more concerned about the two Juggernauts than anything else. And you can see Surtur almost does the same mistake again, where he goes in, without any other backup or support. But he does turn around, he does, readjust. I'm trying to get this Scylla killed with my ult. That's what I exist for right now. And unfortunately, we miss it, Athena and I. So I just ult so I can get, disengage. And I'm coming back here with Tribdis and Nuwa. Unfortunately, they get a lot of great hits on Tribdis when I was backing up, and she's just going to die right there, right? Boom. And we're re-engaging. And we're re-engaging because the enemy has to, really worry about how low their Titan is. I was going to attack, and I know Athena's coming back fresh, but we only have, it's a 3v5, basically. I should not be, insisting on this, frankly. This should not be a decision I'm making here. We do kill the Uller, but that's not really that big of a deal. We still have a numerical disadvantage. It's still a 3v4, right, because we've got them all coming in. we should be leaving. This is not it. This is not the fight. Right? We have Nuwa, we have Athena. Athena's getting slammed slightly. She did not take as much from that as as I remember her doing so when I was actually playing the match. That's a memory thing. You know, we're just trying to harass them basically and try to buy time for I don't even know what at this point. Originally, I was hoping that the Fire Maidens were going to take the left Phoenix, but that obviously isn't going to happen because the left Phoenix is fine at this point. Janus ults. I think he was hoping to get a pot shot on Athena and kill her, but unfortunately for him, he missed. But yeah, we have no reason to be here, so we're leaving, right? And I'm just trying to make sure that Naja can get out, right? And I don't know why I bothered doing that. I don't know why I went in with the fog. I didn't need to. It was kind of silly. I have Naja and Nuwa here, but at this particular point in time... See, hold on. Let me actually go back here, because this is a series of... This starts off with a strange decision, right? I went too far. Yeah, we went too far up. So... I go in with this fog, right? I see Tribdis here, but she's not nearly close enough, and I'm assuming she's going to get interrupted by somebody, right? Because we have only a couple of people here, but I see these three here, right? So what's basically happening is, I don't have any reason to go in. Yeah, Tribdis is there, but I don't have eyes on the entirety of the enemy team. I assume she's going to be interrupted. But they're all here, so I realize, okay, at this point, I actually have a reason for going in. I'm trying to buy time for Tribdis. There she goes, Tribdis and Athena take that left Phoenix, right? But when I went into that fog and I was using my heal on them, there was no reason for that, right? We lock down and kill Scylla, and at this point I'm just like, alright, I can just literally tank this and just buy time, and then the Naja ring takes it, right? But I want you to understand that when I went into that fog and I was healing, yes, I did see Tribdis there, but I did not expect her to make it to that Phoenix. Alright, I don't know why I went into the fog. Even now, after the match, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking at the time, alright? The part where I saw all 5 of them be there, that was intentional. That was like, okay, all 5 of the enemy team are right here. We got this. This is, you know, we've got that, we have this win. Okay, because once I saw all 5 of them were there, that Phoenix was going to be gone, and I was hoping that if I could distract them long enough, Tribdis could solo what was left of the Titan, right? And you can see where this is actually the kind of thing you want to see as a Guardian. Both Athena and I did great. We had pretty great gameplay. Both Athena and I made some pretty bad decisions. We both were guilty of that. But you can see where she was building for the initiation. She did make the really bold move. I say really bold, but I'm exaggerating, of building the prophetic cloak. Now, this is different for Athena than it is for Sylvanus. Again, Athena is a great initiator. All of her abilities deal damage, and she can get these stacks a lot more easily than Sylvanus can, because Sylvanus, his pull doesn't build those stacks, right? And he's not as aggressive a support. He needs Blink to initiate perfectly. Athena doesn't. She has a great dash. She's got her taunt. She doesn't need any of that to build these stacks. So this is less risky on Athena. It still was a little bit risky. There's still a decent, I would say about a third of Slash games and faster, even without surrenders, and faster than Prophetic Cloak will be useful at full stacks. But that's only about a third of matches. The rest of the time, it's a perfectly serviceable item. And again, on Athena and other more aggressive, better initiating Guardians than Sylvanus, it's actually a great pickup. Again, Sobek is another really great example of this. And you can see she was building for the tank here, the full tank build. Great build here. Thebes right afterwards. Again, and she picked up the Thebes specifically because even though she knew I had it, right, because it was my second item, right, why would she build that? Well, she had to have immediately recognized with the Shogun's Gusari that I was looking to hang around near allies, and I did a decent job of that. There were a couple of times where I wandered away, usually the times when I was alone for no good reason, but I did make a pretty specific effort to be near allies a lot of the time. I only really seriously failed in 2 team fights on that goal. So she wanted the Gauntlet of Thieves for whenever she was helping me out, right? Or when she was with Naja. It really came in handy at the end there when she was just with Charybdis, right? So that's why it's okay to have two of the same aura in a lot of matches, right? Because what you're functionally looking at is, look, you have this frontline character with Gauntlet of Thebes to increase the defenses of the front line, which was her job, and then you've got the backline guy with Gauntlet of Thebes to help the backline. That was me. Okay, so this second Gauntlet of Thebes is not a bad thing here. Okay, Pridwin for the remainder of the cooldowns she needed. The famous, I'm having a brain cramp, the mail that reduces the attack speed of phoenixes and towers, enemy phoenixes and towers, and increases our own. Great pickup. Emperor's, it's the Emperor's armor. And the Oni Hunter garb for, of course, good old-fashioned increased magic protections, the damage mitigation passive. Charybdis, great build here. Again, that attack speed and the penetration build. The only change that I would personally say might have worked a bit better in her favor would be perhaps instead of Griffin Wing, maybe build. Well, it really would depend on her attack speed. Now, we're going to leave that alone, actually. We're going to leave that alone. It would depend on what her attack speed capped at, and I don't know that off the top of my head because I don't remember her base attack speed right now. We'll leave that be. Nuwa, bold decision in the double stacking. It did pay off for her. She did a great job. But it was definitely a risk, okay? A bit of a risk there. Since Nuwa has a little bit of a harder time building stacks than a lot of other mages if you aren't paying attention. But she pulled it off, did a great job. Naja, great build, great, we have the penetration here we want to see, we have cooldowns that we want to see, we have Jotun's Wrath, and of course the Cloak of the Magi to help ensure that he gets his combo off, to give him 10% cooldowns, a little bit of protections to help keep him alive. Just great building in general. The Surtur's build is totally fine, completely okay. Actually, overcapping his cooldowns a little bit there, because you have to remember that warriors have a built-in 10% cooldown reduction at level 20. It scales up to that. It doesn't start at level 20, but by the time you're level 20, it's you have a default inherent 10% cooldown reduction. He has 40% here, so he was a little bit overboard on his cooldowns here. He probably could have gotten away with one of the cloaks on the left side of the tree rather than Pridwin. Say Spirit Robe is one of my favorites because that damage mitigation can save your life a lot of the times, especially given the amount of crowd control we had. But anyways, also the Mantle of Discord would have been really great as well, another great potential option. Really, that's the only issue with the Surtur's build. A lot of the Surtur's issues here came down to just going too hard after the back line, and both he and Bake Kujira really figured that out. You could see about I would actually say 2/3 of the way through the match where they were figuring out what Athena and I were doing, and they stopped mostly. Right, the Bake Kujira went for the Animosity build, which... Now, here's the really interesting thing. Bake Kujira building Pestilence, at a glance, isn't a great idea, because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not healing a ton as Sylvanus. That's not really the goal here. But not only do we have my healing, but Charybdis had Asi, and, of course, Naja has got a self-heal in there as well. So, that was a really great choice here, actually. Although, given that he was going for an Animosity build, this probably should have actually been Toxic Blade. I think would have done him a lot more good. Now, I haven't played Bake Kujira, so it is entirely possible that Toxic Blade doesn't proc on his auto attacks. I don't know that for sure, but if Animosity procs on his auto attacks, Toxic Blade should as well. So this more properly should have been Toxic Blade, but then again, you don't get... I know for a fact that he can't increase his attack speed past 1.25, so I'm wondering if maybe he didn't build that because he wouldn't be able to get that stat, so he went with Pestilence for the combination anti-heal and magic protections, which is very fair. That is very... If that was the line of thinking, then that's fine, but I think if you're looking to build anti-heal, even if you're not getting that attack speed, Toxic Blade is worth looking at on Bake Kujira, even if you can't benefit from that attack speed, but... regardless, decent. The build is fine. Again, the Bakugura's issues wasn't his build; it was mostly the decision making, right? That's the bulk of that issue. The Euler's build is a bit interesting. The only thing I have to criticize for the Euler, the only thing, would be his choice of glyph on Deathbringer. I think the glyph that gives you reduced cooldowns when you get a crit would have been a little bit better because he could have alternated between his abilities a little bit better. You could have flipped back and forth between those a lot faster, and just could have absolutely done huge amounts of damage that way. Maybe, possibly, instead of going for chin size, go for the Crusher instead. Would have been able to make that even more effective. Damage over time, you get 10% penetration, which helps your abilities. I know chin size is percentage of health damage, but he already had so many other items there doing high damage. I think the penetration would have done him better than the percentage of health damage. So I would say that would have been 1.5 adjustments that I think would have been better for the Uller here. The Uller did play very well, do not misunderstand me, but the chin size weren't really pulling their weight a lot of the time. A lot of his damage was coming out of his abilities or his crits, and I think the Crusher would have capitalized on that a little bit better. Janos, the build is fine. I find Chronos Pendant a little more expensive than I'm comfortable with so quick in the game, but it can be very effective if you play it safe, which he really didn't do too often, right? Mostly the Janos was just a bit too aggressive a lot of the times. The build itself isn't bad. Again, this was mostly a decisions thing. Everyone's build is pretty good. Uller's could stand some mild improvement. Janos's is standard, except for the risk of taking Chronos Pendant, which is why he had a bit of a problem specifically in the early game. All right, and then the Scylla. Again, another pretty standard form build for Scyllas. So, the interesting thing about this match, and the reason why I liked this match for posting, is not only did I not have a Baka Kujira on my team, which hurts Sylvanus considerably, but without coordination. I mean, queuing with somebody who's Baka Kujira, that's a powerful combination. Just like queuing with a Kuzumbo player is really powerful with Sylvanus, but for randoms, not usually a good thing. But, we had great gameplay, but all of this match was decided not by the builds, but by the decisions of the players on each team. And this is the culmination of our mistakes. This is the personification of my statement a few months ago, where I said that in SMITE matches, the winning team simply made the fewer mistakes, and that is 100% what happened here. Both sides played okay. Our side just played more okay. We made fewer mistakes, basically. I was alone a couple of times too often, so was Athena, so was Nuwa. Nuwa made the mistake of trying to save me a couple of times, right? Naja overcommitted after missing an ult one time. Things like that. These are all mistakes. We simply made fewer of them than Baka Kujira and his teammates going too deep for Athena. Allowing Athena and I to separate them from their team. Things like that. These are just more serious and more frequent mistakes being made by the enemy team that caused them to lose. Right? And that's what this match really excellently portrays. But with that being said, thank you all very much for joining me. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please ignore me. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. And thank you all very much for joining me, and have a great 24 hours.